As always with my blog posts, I have to be straight with you. I'm a little upset right now. I can never ever understand why governments believe that when they tell us we should do something, that we should just simply accept that, bow our heads, and crawl back into our den. Well, the last time I checked, democracy is ruled by a majority. If you don't like it and you're not in the majority, well, sorry about your luck. Majority rules, period. Well, folks, there's a real question out there right now that maybe, just maybe, the majority of taxpayers in the region of Waterloo are not in favor of the light rail plan from the region. Sure, the majority of regional council is in favor, but if the majority of the electorate is not, then clearly regional council is not representing the very people who put them there to make decisions on their behalf. I'm not talking about whether a stoplight should be put in over a roundabout or whether the region needs new computers or a few dump trucks. I'm talking about the most expensive expenditure in the history of the Waterloo region. A type of project that historically and most often is way over budget. A project that even experts suggest we don't have the population density and won't over the next 50 years to support such a venture. A project that absolutely will have a negative impact on other regional service levels for years and years to come. A project that, if it is a huge success, will serve much less than 10% of the population and will only frustrate the other 90% of the population. And a project, by all accounts, seems more to be a legacy project than a core need. And finally, a project that clearly and distinctly creates a monumental divide in our regional communities. So the Chamber's position is, if this is such a divisive project, if it has caused so many questions, concerns, and issues, why isn't it considered to be added to the fall municipal ballot as a question? Do you want to pay for this or not? If you're so convinced that this is the right thing for us to do and the right time, if you believe that at least 50% plus one agrees it is a good thing, then why would there be any resistance to asking the question? Unless, of course, you are certain that the majority do not want it. Therein lies the question. Why not serve the interests of the majority of the electorate? I've heard some politicians and supporters of the LRT actually say there's not enough knowledge or awareness of the project in the general population to make a wise and educated decision. So they're telling me, in essence, that my anxiety and worry over how much this is going to cost me as a taxpayer is less of a concern of theirs, and that I should just crawl back into my den and suck it up because they know what's best for me. Well, I know most of the details on the project. I know most of the rationale for the project. I know its impacts and on who it impacts most. I know who it benefits most and who it does not. I know the numbers on the economic benefits of the project. I know the facts of the costs of this project. I know the timeline of the future expansion of this project. And maybe the most important thing I know about the project is that it does lack a fairly healthy amount of public support. Folks, let me tell you, a recent article from a prominent organization in the region who desperately supports the LRT plan basically said, this must happen at any cost. Well, I'm not in the high-tech world of writing a new code for a piece of software and getting some American company to pay me millions of dollars for it. I'm not likely going to be the designer and think up the next new hot tech device and become an overnight multimillionaire. So in fact, I can't afford to support anything at any cost. I have my limitations. And by the way, they've been exceeded by government already. So recently, we've had politicians mad at us. Some other organizations that think our opinion, which is really the majority opinion, is wrong in that we are not very visionary thinkers. But that kind of perplexes us. You see, the LRT is not really a visionary project. The very first light rail electric streetcar boarded the tracks in Toronto on August 15th, 1892. This summer, the LRT will have its 122nd birthday. Folks, this is a 122-year-old technology. Sure, the cars are going to look pretty sleek and kind of cool, but don't be fooled. They will have overhead wires exactly the same as we see in downtown Toronto today. In the recent months, the Waterloo region has had its fair share of snow. If you think driving your vehicle around was difficult, streetcars become paralyzed in snow of that sort. Ever been stuck in Toronto where there has been a collision with a streetcar? It's hours and hours to clear out the way and open the line up again because it's closed down during the cleanup. I can conclude by saying, if the world hadn't experienced the worst economic disaster since the Great Depression, this project wouldn't even be on the table right now, because there would not have been any federal or provincial funding available. These were recovery dollars. We certainly hope and believe that this type of financial disaster never happens again, which means, in essence, there will never be any funding like this to extend the route any further. With all due respect to those who believe that streetcars are visionary, I'm thinking we probably could have at least had a look at some technology that is a little newer than 19th century technology. But at the forefront of this discussion should absolutely be, is it widely, publicly supported? Our simple little survey last week concluded with 65% of those members responding said they do not support the LRT project presented by the region. And more startling is the fact that over 80% of respondents said that it should be a question on the fall ballot, really saying that even some of those who support the LRT project believe that the electorate should have a direct say in such a huge project that will affect our property tax bill so much. Is that fair? You bet it is. And I'm Greg DeRocher.